Hello, I'm Lindsay. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be cooking. So I am going to make, there's a signature cocktail. It's a old fashioned with Brûléed oranges. Then we've got a starter that's a cranberry brie pull apart bread. We're going to have a main that's whiskey glazed ribs with a side salad, and then for dessert we're gonna have spiced red wine poached pears. Now, if you've been a part of this channel, you might have seen my previous video where I showed you how I put the menu together, got the balance right, things like that. If you are new here, I will make sure it's linked up in the cards below. But today we're gonna be making that menu. So I'm just getting my apron set on now, and then we'll get started. I'm not gonna time lapse this video, so I'm gonna keep it slow. You guys can cook alongside me, but I will also have the little chapter things below that show you like which recipe is when. So if you wanna skip ahead to the part that you really wanna see, then you'll be able to do that too. So let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna start with the ribs because they need to marinate overnight. So I'm doing this ahead of time. The recipe is in this cookbook. It's called Sunday Suppers. It's really awesome. I will write it down below, but I encourage you to get this book because it's amazing. So let's get started. What do we need to do first? Toast the cumin and coriander seeds. Okay, transfer to a mortar and pestle and crush together until fine. I don't have a mortar and pestle, so I can't really crush them together. So, and also I don't have seeds. I've got just ground cumin and coriander. So we're just gonna skip that part and we're gonna put them right in the mix. They're already ground to a fine powder. They just won't be toasted, but that's okay. So, what do we do next? In a large bowl, combine everything else, and we're gonna make the glaze for the rib. Well, this is easy. I like it when it's easy. All right, let's get going. All right, so let's start by just talking through what you're gonna need. So you're gonna need 1 teaspoon of cumin. You're going to need a ½ teaspoon of coriander. Now, the recipe says to get the seeds, toast them, ground them yourself, but ain't nobody got time for that. So I just had ground ones, so I'm just going to use them already ground and call it a day. Then you're going to need 48 ounces of tomato sauce. So you, depending on the size you buy, you can do 32-ounce cans. I bought 28-ounce, so I'm gonna use both, but you need 48 ounces of some sort of tomato sauce. You're gonna need 4 cups of brown sugar. Then you're gonna do 2 cups of ketchup. Then we've got 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. And my favorite, 2 cups of whiskey. We're gonna go Jack Daniels with this, and that's probably not 2 cups, so we'll need another bottle, but don't you worry, we have a lot of that. Then you need a cup of Worcestershire sauce, and it does say 1 cup of soy sauce. I'm actually gonna use cocoa aminos. It's gonna give it a sweeter taste, but I actually don't use this in a lot of recipes, and I don't know if it goes bad or not, but in case it does, I want to go ahead and use it. So I'm going to swap that out. And then you need salt. And then, of course, you need your ribs. So let's start making the marinade. All right, so in a large bowl, you're going to combine the spices. That's 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds. And then you're going to do a ½ teaspoon of coriander seeds. Once you have all the spices in there, you're going to throw in the tomato sauce. Again, that's 48 ounces, so just 2 whole packets, it's fine. I recommend using an extremely large bowl because this bowl ends up not being large enough. You are going to also throw in the brown sugar. That's 4 cups. I almost didn't have enough, guys. Like anybody else, when you order from Instacart, you order a size and you end up getting much smaller size than you thought you ordered. I realize it's, paying attention to detail and realizing like the size that you're purchasing, but like that happens to me all the time. And this was a prime example of where I almost ran out of brown sugar. So once the sugar's in, you're going to then switch over to the ketchup, and you need 2 cups of the ketchup, and it is hard to squeeze the bottle into that. I don't know if anyone has a better way of doing that. Please let me know, because that was frustrating. Then you do 2 cups of the apple cider vinegar,
much easier to get into the bowl. But you can start seeing now where the bowl is getting a little small. And I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to have enough room because we still have more ingredients to add. So then you do 2 cups of whiskey, which, like I said in the intro, I did run out of whiskey in that bottle, so I did have to go to the liquor cabinet and get another bottle, but it was fine. Whiskey's my favorite kind of liquor, so I had tons of it. Anyway, then you do 1 cup of Worcestershire sauce, also very difficult to get into a measuring cup. And it's really getting to be a tight squeeze in that bowl. And when I switch over to the cocoa aminos, you can see I didn't even fill the, the cup all the way up because I wasn't sure if it was gonna fit. But it did, barely got in. You add some salt, it's 4 teaspoons of salt, and then you're gonna mix it really well together. Alright, so then you're going to put your ribs in the roasting pan. Now, obviously, if you're watching this video, you can see I forgot to buy ribs. I bought bone-in steak instead. So, make and do with what I have, but place them all in. I had 6 people coming, so I did 6 steaks, and you're going to pour that mixture on top, and then you're going to cover it with some saran wrap, and then you're going to place it in the fridge to marinate overnight.
Most botched job ever. This is truly a do as I say, not as I do sort of scenario. All right guys, so it's the next morning and I'm already running late on my schedule. And if you have watched any of my dinner party videos before, you know this is not really an unusual occurrence. But today it's unfortunate because today I needed extra time. Last night I was supposed to make or do 3 different things. Marinate the ribs, make the simple cinnamon syrup thing for the cocktails, and make the poached pear dessert. I didn't make the dessert, didn't make the stuff for the cocktail. I did marinate the ribs, only to find out I didn't actually buy ribs. I bought bone-in steak. Long story, but so we're gonna have whiskey glazed steak instead. However, that means, this is my cooking schedule, that means that I've got to make the stuff I was supposed to make last night, first thing this morning, and then I've got to do the rest of the stuff. So really, we gotta get a wiggle on. All right, so we're gonna start with the spiced red wine poached pears. So of course, you're going to need some pears. Any variety will do. Then you're gonna need some red wine. The recipe suggested Merlot. I went with a Cabernet Sauvignon because I like it. I've also included a lovely wine glass because, you know, wine nuts. Gonna be drinking while I do this. Then you need some sugar. You're going to need a vanilla bean pod. You're gonna need some cinnamon sticks, and you're gonna need some star anise. And then you will serve it with coconut yogurt, but right now we're just going to poach the pears. So you're gonna start by peeling all the pears. The recipe calls for 4, but I had 5 people end up coming, so I went ahead and did 5 pears. So you peel them all, and then they need to be able to stand up straight. So if they can't, then just cut the bottom off a little bit and let them stand. Then you're gonna start the poaching mixture. So you're gonna do 2 cups of red wine. Again, the recipe calls for Merlot, but I did a Cabernet Sauvignon because it's what I had on hand. I also really like it, like Merlot too, but anyway. Then you're gonna add in some sugar. It's 1/3 a cup. You're going to do a halved vanilla pod, which, boy, those things are expensive. Then you're gonna do 2 sticks of cinnamon and then 2 star anise. And then you're just going to let that cook on medium heat for a little bit and stirring periodically until the sugar dissolves. It'll take just a couple of minutes. Then you put all the pears in and you're ready to go. All right, so while the pears are poaching, it takes about 30 minutes, and you're gonna rotate them every now and then just to make sure that the color evens on either side, or all sides of the pears. We're going to make the cinnamon syrup for the cocktail. So for that, you're going to need some rosemary, you're gonna need some cinnamon sticks, and then you're gonna need some maple syrup. This is pretty easy, so we're just gonna throw the ingredients in, we're gonna bring it to a boil for 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll remove it and let it cool and keep it in the fridge until we're ready to serve.
So you're going to add a third cup of water, and then you're going to have a third cup of the maple syrup. You will do then 2 sprigs of the fresh rosemary, and then 2 cinnamon sticks, and you're going to bring that all to a boil it for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then let it cool.
Okay, so the pears are done, and I just am going to drizzle some of the reduction syrup on top of them and place them in the fridge to cool, and then we're gonna start working with the oranges. So we've got to supreme some oranges for the salad, and then we need to brulee some oranges for the old-fashioned. But look at these pears. Are they not gorgeous? And so easy, and it looks so fancy. I'm so excited.
While this is happening, you're letting the ribs come to room temperature, and then you're just gonna pop them in the oven at 325 for about 3 hours.
All right, so you'll notice I did a little wardrobe change. We're about an hour out until people start arriving. Everything's done, most things are done, and or cooking. The only thing that's left is the cranberry brie bread, which I'm gonna make now because that needs to warm up and get the cheese all melty in the oven. And then the salad, but I'll serve the salad or assemble the salad when it gets a little closer to serving time so that the lettuce doesn't start wilting. But we're almost done.
So the first part for the bread is you're going to make a crumble. So you're going to take 2 tablespoons of butter, add in 2/3 cup of raw chopped pecans, and then 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. Once that's all added in, you're going to use your hands to mix it together. I suggest a slightly larger bowl because you're going to need some room. And then that crumble is going to go in the bread when you're ready.
So now we're just going to take really thin slices of the butter, and we're going to pop it in between the bread slices. Now, I had sliced bread. I did not have a round loaf like I was supposed to. So I've got to do this a little bit differently than the recipe calls for. But you work with what you've got. And what else can you do? All right, butter is in, and I'm trying to hold this together because it was already sliced. Then you're gonna cube some Brie cheese, and you're gonna stuff that in there as well. And I got 2 at 16 ounces, so I got 2 8-ounce wheels, and we'll just see how much I need to use.
And then once you're done with the brie, you're going to take that crumble you made earlier and then stuff that on top of the brie in each slice, and then you're going to add cranberries on the top. Then you're just going to stick it in the oven for about 30 minutes until the cheese is melted. Now on to the assembly of the cocktail. You're going to, in a cocktail shaker, combine the bourbon, 2 ounces of bourbon, which I just eyeballed it. Then you're gonna do a 1/4 cup of orange juice, a dash of orange bitters, and then 2 tablespoons of that cooled cinnamon syrup that you made earlier. Then you're gonna shake it all together, strain it into a glass. Do top it with some sparkling water. I chose a peach flavor. You could obviously do an orange flavor. You could even do no flavor, but the sparkling water really adds something cool to it. Top it with a Brûléed orange and you are ready. So here's the final pieces, guys. I admit that the ribs, or a steak in my case, don't look super appetizing there, but they were delicious and melt in your mouth. The Brie bread, cannot recommend it highly enough. It was the hit of the party. The drinks were fantastic. I made a salad. It was just throwing together spring mix, the supremed oranges, pomegranate oreals, and goat cheese, and putting it on a very nice platter. I didn't video the dessert, but I did take pictures, so I will add the pictures of the poached pears here. They looked so fancy. It was all so easy to make, and I highly recommend this menu for winter seasonal eating. If you liked what you saw today, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.